hello everyone. Welcome to Cultural Global Lab. We have a chat series going on here. And I'm very excited today, both about the topic and the speaker. The topic today will be the role of culture and diversity in marketing, branding, and advertising. And we couldn't be more lucky to have a professional in this field. And I think he's also an expert and a leading expert, if you will, because his work with big companies such as Nike and Levi's have really been around this, putting a lens about culture and diversity throughout a product marketing, research, and all of that. His name is Ivan Hugo, and we have him log in and connect directly from Barcelona, Spain. Welcome, Hugo. Ivan.
Hello, hey, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate at Culture Global Labs. It's an honor. And yes, thank you to everybody as well to watching us. Well, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction of who I am and what I've been doing in the last 15 plus years, I guess. I'm a photographer and a short film director with expertise on telling histories focused on street culture for both commercial or research brands and organizations. What that means that I've been involved in brands like Nike and Levi's, which is what I've past 15 years worked for. And as perhaps you know, those brands, they get inspired through street culture, and then from what we see in daily life, bring to commercial part. So all the photographers that were involved in those projects, as me, being in the core of those sizes. One, because we were in the streets searching ideas of how kids of 17, 15, 18 years old were playing sports, basketballs, or anything, then bring those ideas to the creative departments and inspire for the commercials and catalogs, etc. for the consumers. So I think in our positions, me as others that have been doing similar jobs, we were in the middle of understanding what directions of market in that field of brands connecting with street culture as a visual anthropologist, kind of to really, understanding social name in that field, where we're not just photographers grabbing or taking pictures of anything. Right. We were more concerned in why we were deep observers. I will describe myself as a deep observers. We're enjoying this part of us as a passion as well to be participating in the human behavior in any ways. Yeah. I can be. Sorry, carry on.
So is it safe to say that when these companies hire you, you sort of become the buffer and the translator of culture? Because it seems like they sent you into the field. You're doing this deep observation. I love that reference. Maybe applying this curiosity, right, about finding out what the street culture is, and then bringing back that message. And you have to.
Yes, definitely. That's pretty much what we do. We kind of documentary the reality with a brief of a brand, because documentary is go around and report something, but can be emotional, can be target, or can be specific. When you work for cooperative brands, at the end is a brand, and they want to understand the needs of the consumers.
Of course.
That's what we capture.
Yeah.
Spending time with them. At the end of the day, we have to play basketball with them to be more closer and understand why they're wearing these trainers. We want to be there. It's not just, hello, I'm here, I'm going to be doing a photo shooting.
Right. So is it safe to say we've known that to strike a chord with your consumer, people in an organization, well, we know it's not easy. And organizations in the past were looking at making their product perfect, appealing, sexy, if you will, right? Because their purpose is to sell it. But is it safe to say that this is changing because of what's been going on in the last 6 months? In essence, I'm thinking about the fact that when we look around, we're becoming more and more conscious as a community, individuals and organization, that we live in an imperfect world. So do you,
I think,
how do you see?
well, I see here from Europe. I'm between London and Barcelona, but now I just based in Barcelona. But I still connected and working with mainly London. And what I can see in Europe over the summer, which we've been unlocked, let's call it unlocked, because we were locked down for 3-4 months. All these expectations, and we were talking like now, and other colleagues in the industry, like looks like we're going to be more conscious, we're going to be like, I was thinking we probably will be more directed to the way, but what I've been seeing over the summer, as I say, in Spain or UK, is anger to get back to where we were. People were desperate. They say, "Oh, finally, I can do what I was doing." So that confused me. I was thinking, "Oh, I thought we were more conscious, and now we were." So it's an early stage. Definitely it is. First of all, we can even move freely because we have a vaccine, and anywhere you look news is scary. We cannot freely just move nearby to work because nobody will want it to get into any airplanes right now. There has to be a major reason you go there for.
Right.
And we as explorers, we travel because obviously, let's put the example of Levi's. If they want to open a shop in India, the concept that Levi's Global has for shops in Chicago is not the same because consumers completely different. So they need to send explorers like us to visually record or capture with photos or get it like 2 or 3 weeks there and explore what India really needs. With the simple fact that color of the window display wouldn't be the same. It's it.
So this is an interesting point because in the field of intercultural, we often talk about cultural informants, and typically cultural informants are people who are from that culture, whether that is a national culture or an ethnic culture. And we ask them information, we ask them questions that they can relate back to us, and then we relate back to our colleagues. So it's interesting because it seems like corporates are more inclined to send their people as explorers. Is that because has to be a balance even in the observation between what the corporate is trying to do and achieve and the observation process?
Yeah, that's I'm not sure if it will increase, and I know that big corporate is been there, otherwise in-house, or they will hire studios to provide this service. I did work for studios offering service for specific clients at some point, and that's it. But I had the privilege and learn as well because I was working with creative directors and I understood the whole process. Instead that it's an assignment, go and do it. But it's needed, definitely for cooperative companies because they want to sell globally. It's like food. If you want to sell pasta in India, you need to go to Italy and understand what the pasta is, and then go to Italy and see how you can sell the pasta. No? I think in a clear way to explain. Or paella in Spain, you need to understand that. If we're talking about more independent and local brands that just want to do in their own areas, obviously they don't need to explore that much because they open something connecting with the neighborhood. I believe that they're good enough to understand what's happening or the needs of the neighborhood. And the sensibility in general of any brand that they want to sell globally, they really, I believe so, and I can see, and I've seen colleagues talking about, but we don't know how it's going to be in the future. If it's going to be more local with people there, or we're going to keep traveling because the situations. However, so what I want to say, I believe, yes, it will carry on in that way. We need to understand people. We really need to understand people. People is not need anything else anymore. They just know what they want. We are more independents. So if you want to convince them or be different, you to be close to them, is live with them if necessary to understand it. How it's going to be, just traveling around, people then they know how to explore, or find locals that they will do the job. Because they're there. However, there is a contradiction now, because the people is there. Let's say I'm here, I'm in Barcelona or I'm in London, and any brand they want to set up shop in one of our cities from UK, from US, they will send you, to me, to explore one way, you know, and they will come up with something, or they will call me. Ivan, can you explore? The question is, the person locally wouldn't see the same than the guy comes fresh.
Right. Yes.
So
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Yeah, it's like the fish living in the bowl, right?
Exactly.
Unless the fish is out of the bowl, it won't understand the impact of his own culture. So then it's probably fair to say that it's best to have a little bit of both, right? And then you bring back home. Okay. So let's switch a little bit the conversation, because I know you have lived extensively in Japan. Yeah. And Japan is a symbol of a collectivistic culture.
Yeah.
And then you're doing work and you have lived in England. And that's, we can say, England represents cultures that are more individualistic. How does a company, when it's thinking about marketing a product, remain sensitive and walks that line about selling the product, but being careful and sensitive to those differences? Individualistic. So for instance, a product would be desirable because it sets you apart from the group. But in Japan, for instance, you instead have to market differently so that it's not the nail that sticks out, that gets hammered down kind of idea, but it's more sensitive to the group, to the society overall. Have you observed any of those things? Have you been spearheading any of those efforts in terms of the research?
In Tokyo, which where I live, we're talking about one of the biggest consumers countries in the world. So they consume all the time, and which is super hard to call them to any direction that you want to. So visually talking, obviously there is massive research to understand what they want. Actually, it's one of the biggest markets I've been seeing, because I was in a company, obviously, but I've been seeing that they do a lot of research. Japanese companies, why they want this, there's a lot of investment in research. They invest more money in research and marketing than the campaigns itself, which is completely opposite than at least Europe.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. And marketing is super, super strong. Marketing can be just an impact, doing promotion in the streets, giving packaging of something like a massively, and they know we'll be in the streets. They use a lot of well-known and talented people, famous people, which we see in Europe. Or
they carry brand recognition.
Yes, maybe in America, but not as much. I don't see in America if it's a lot, but when I've been around there, I didn't see as much. So in this constantly, anybody that has a name, has a face, and is connected with something they believe will add power to what they want to sell. They will go for that, and very impact as well. What I mean with impact? No time for thinking. Let's say in UK, as an example, a lot of commercials, even in the streets, graphic commercial, depending on the target that you want to get, you will create a story there, or you will write something. And then let's say it's a BMW car, you're targeting a very intellectual, high-class consumer. Maybe you don't see even the car, you see the logo, and you see a message, very philosophical, the journey, and then that target will read that. One guy that is going to buy or has an intention to buy this car might not be interested, they want to see impact car. In Japan, 99% of the campaigns, is a beer, is a guy smiling, crop, facing with a beer, because people doesn't have time for anything. They just want to see an emotion, very quick, very strong. So all the campaigns are related with emotions.
So interesting that that's the case, because if you think about the non-verbal aspect of a collectivistic culture like Japan, emotional expressiveness is there, but it's not anything like the emotional expressiveness of Latino cultures, for instance, right? So it seems like they play up the emotional appeal through showing it on branding and advertising, because wow, what an interesting
yes, they show
insight.
You get it. They show the opposite what they are.
Wow.
You're walking every day, complete froze, while we see it. I know that they're very warm and inside very deep, because obviously I live there 8 years. But they show exactly what everybody see, what we think in Japan. But when you dig in them, they can be as warm as any Latino,
Right.
And they can have parties as long as any Latino.
Right.
When they have fun, they have fun. So the only way to attract them is making the reality they have in their own privacy or on their free time, which is
Interesting.
smiling.
Very,
Yeah,
very interesting.
that was one of the things that really catch me when I start to understand, because Japan is a place that you can live all your life.
Right.
And I always want to be like, I don't know anything, you know.
It is interesting also. It is interesting to think of years, maybe 15, 20 years ago, when we didn't have such a big frame and respect maybe for the intercultural field, for doing, you know, that culture sensitive research before you launch a campaign. And people would launch campaigns of products or services that would completely fail. One of the one I remember is the calling a car in Latin America Nova. And Nova in Spanish is Nova, doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And now finally, I think it took making so many errors of such a kind that corporate companies have now developed a little bit of astuteness about bringing in people like you with the expertise that you have. This is fascinating. This is really interesting.
You know what? I've been talking because obviously visual anthropologists, photographers, people that research, explore cultures for consumers, for brands, team up with anthropologists or sociologists as a career.
Yes, of course.
We team up because sometimes you have to ask questions as well. You have to ask them in a very briefly, 2 minutes. Hey, why you wearing these trainers? Right, simple things, but they give you a lot of information.
Right.
They're not in-house yet.
Right.
They will start to demand those things. That's kind of a new prediction. Not from me. No, I'm not visionary. Means the people around me that in the same industry, they will say, oh, you know, the other day a company, global contacted me because and they've been doing that kind of job for service. They call them, they do it, they buy, you know, through agencies.
It's funny because part of the name of our company is Labs, and it was on purpose because we want to be more cross-disciplinary and partnering with companies and fields that before were not so ready to contact us and talk to us about those socio-economic behavioral things that are going on. And they would go to the sociologists. But I think interculturalists have so much more to offer, and would love to play a role in that. We have consultants actually all over the world, from Africa to Australia to Asia. So hopefully, you know, that will increase the know-how and the collaboration, the demand, with entities like that.
The last 2 years, I've been working very close with a culture analyst, and it's pretty much based on anthropologists, but now it's called also culture analyst. You say, well, you culture analyst? Yes, because I'm anthropologist and sociologist. So I sit down here for 2 hours because this client wants to see what's happening in that corner with the young kids or all generations. It's covering everything. And then just the notes.
Right. And in the intercultural framework and lens is additional. It's different than the social lens or the anthropologist lens. You know, it goes closer to the observation of behavior and how do you change and how are you respectful of the values and nuances of each culture. That's actually a piece that I think it's particularly important for the future.
Yeah. And I think in that way, yes, it will happen. So I think all this thing is building up now, and it's getting more closer to reality than before. Was only few people were doing it. So I don't know many visual anthropologists. I know a lot of anthropologists, sociologists, culture analysts, but a guy that goes there somewhere or girl and understand, and then I know, but not many.
So a couple of other final questions. I'd love for you to tell us 3 short stories that paint the picture of maybe going back to your childhood one, then going maybe to your first big job that had to do with maybe, you know, this culture and diversity aspect of bringing into a branding project. And then maybe a current story of the last few months, just to weave more of the fabric of who is Ivan Hugo.
Yeah, well, always been very interesting I'm very social and I love people since I was a kid. I think you can tell. And I'm passionate for any ethnicities, any genders, everything. I think human
Yeah.
is human and I love it as they are, that's for me, it's been ever, and it's been since as far as I remember. And, but one of the things calls me the attention, the creativity wall. Before that, I started to experiment with painting, sculpting. I've been trying everything. Is the brother of my dad was a creative director working in one of the biggest global agencies in Madrid and Barcelona. And I remember every Christmas time or dinners and lunch, it was something special there. It was something transmitting something. I always was looking at him with his pen in the pocket, his way to explain the stories. He was a storyteller. And I get so much passion. I was saying, I want to be like this guy one day. And then, you start to grow and start to, natural, your system start to discover things.
Yeah.
And I love painting, but I realized I didn't have patience. I was thinking, wow, this is lovely, but it takes ages. Now it's a different thing because now we know what we want. But when you're a kid, you explore. I think I want to show things quicker. Until somebody gave me a camera. My granddad, I think, gave me a camera and said, play around, and I started to play. It was film at that time.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's amazing. You did something very quick, 2 seconds. You show it later, everybody like it or not, but it's a conversation there.
Yeah.
And then until now, so I've been shooting, and then I started one thing got to another, and I end through the journey. I end in Tokyo, and I started to offer. I built up my portfolio in London because I studied in London, and then I decided that through things I end in Tokyo for experience for a couple of years, and then in there my portfolio was very into the culture, very into documentary, all random, all emotions, young. Just university, and I met that guy, I met the other one, and then suddenly I met one of these guys from Nike, and it's through connections. Well, when we kids, we play around and people introduce somebody, and he say, "Hey, come around. You do for the journalist kind of documentary. Come around when you have time to our office, creative studio we have here, and we talk, and I bring you work, and things that nowadays looks like is maybe." My generation at that time is happening right now, but when we get older, it looks like this is surreal that it happens,
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying, yeah? And that guy opened the book and started to look and say, I got a job for you. You're joking, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I want you to get lost for 2 weeks in these neighborhoods and this kind of vibe, and I see here, just about sports. I want to see how kids play sports here, sports there, And I say, okay. And then when you go everything, come back. When you go everything, come back. It's not hurry, 2 or 3 weeks. And then it's okay. And then 3 weeks later, come back and everything went through. They were starting, those guys were expats from Nike, Poland, setting up everything it was a good time as well.
I suspect that name is Grant.
There was another one, was Howard. Grant got involved later, which also, we started doing a massive big project with him. And
it's a friend we have in common. Of course, I had to mention him.
yeah, definitely. And then one went to the other, and then at the end they asked me, "Hey, you want to join us in house?" And we got these projects. And then is when I discovered the commercial part and the understanding of the previous research I was doing for them as a freelancer. And then in that I saw, wow, this is me. I can search, which I love, and I can produce. For those guys, and then through these after years, and with Levi's, then in culture, they want to know more about denim culture globally. So I get this team with also Grant, which we start exploring around globally and more digging in reality and what we now more know. We were discussing now, more closer to understand consumers.
What is emerging for me, for what you said, is this word that I keep on going back to a lot, because I think it's the golden nugget. It's curiosity. It seems to me that in the story, the Nike person had the curiosity about you as a fresh mind, a young person, and that you had curiosity as the main ingredient to go figure it out, to go find out, to go play, to be curious about the culture. And this is what I think we should also always and all be very conscious of. If we use curiosity as our default about knowing somebody else's, knowing about somebody else's culture, somebody else's stories, that I think is what unravels the beauty of human interaction and sensitivity, right?
Definitely. And I want to add something to that, especially right now, which we're living in the unsocial era, with the sarcasm calling social era.
Yeah.
Because we're more unsocial now than when we were before, without all these medias that pretend to connect us. And I was reading an article, one of the creators, that they did it wrong. The idea was to keep us in touch.
Yeah.
Not to use as a kind of narcissism or anything else, which is not connecting us, you know. That's why you start seeing, like, if you come to dinner in this place and leave the mobile off, you have discount, you know, because we want interaction, we want reality. So that open a big window as well, authenticity. Open an excellent window for people like us.
Yeah.
Because we are genuine explorers.
Yes.
We're going to go there and connect with people. We want to be talking to them. I'm not going anywhere and just start shooting. I want to know who they are, you know?
Yeah. So, and I guess that goes back to that imperfect world, right? We were trying to market perfect idea of things, but now we're marketing authentic. And authentic in the last 6-8 months has been sitting with you and feeling how vulnerable, how simple of a human being and how needy of touch you are. And how you want to be authentic with people, because it's the fastest route to getting to know somebody, right? Rather than this persona, rather than this fake reality that you're trying to build to impress somebody. And we see that in marketing, I think, right? We're seeing that in marketing. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm conscious of time, and if you have any other remarks, even about anything that you've observed lately, where you think the world of marketing, cultural, and diversity is going toward, given, again, the last 8 months, please share.
Sure, Antimo. I'm always take with picture without picture. Sometimes I even think myself, look, I'm an anthropologist as well, or sociologist, you know, because I'm interested and I read books, articles, you know. It's not only the camera that he talks, I also the knowledge around. And I've been observing, even as I say, I was in London the last 6 years. I've been 10 years, but split between Tokyo. But the last 6 years I've been there. The last year before then, the coronavirus arrived. I've been seeing that young generations are detaching from reality big time. They don't have I see it now in Barcelona as well. They don't have that big dream imposed or create, depends how you look at, than we had it 10, 20 years ago. Then you do this, you're going to have this. They know it's not going to happen. They don't expect to have a property. They don't. I didn't mention that I do lectures at the university in London. And we talk about anthropologies and things like that. And when I ask to the students, 80% of them, they never even imagine, we're talking about 18, 19, 20, 22 years old kids, never imagine to work for somebody.
Wow.
They always say, no, I will do my own business, or I will work with my colleague.
Right.
I'm not. Global companies, no, I'm not. All of them, they think they will do it their own thing, which is kind of like something like for us was, no, we want to work for this, I want to work for that.
Right.
And why? Because they don't believe anybody. They believe in their own things. And they became so much independent through the facilities that we provide them, media, internet, YouTube, and they believe they can do everything. And somehow it's true, because obviously I've seen the final pieces, the final works. We do the creative reviews and everything. And some of them, they're really success. You say, wow, this guy really can do it. But it's not the common. The majority, they will fail.
And we're embracing failure differently too, right? So now we talk about failure as it's good to fail.
Yes, but the missing part we're discussing with other tutors at the uni is, yes, you might can do it. Yes, you might can. But what about the experience of the oldest ones? The mistake that you want to learn when you are apprentice or you are, that part, they don't think this exists because they don't have the patience.
Right. Yeah.
Before, maybe have it.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that we're seeing, right? There is the uncertainty and the fear, the mistrust into what organizations are doing, and I can do better. I have all the tools, I have the creativity. Yes. But then there is almost a missing link that is going to at some place flare up in some sort of an issue or a challenge for them.
Yeah, that's why that was the explanation, because what I want to say with this, the winners, the big winners of the show will be those ones, they approach to understand for real how to link them politically, commercially, religiously, in any way, how to link them, because they need leaders. Everybody needs leaders in this life,
of course.
Especially when you are a kid.
Of course. Yeah.
Otherwise, those generation, which we call them in Spain, the revolution generation.
Yeah, and this is prompting leadership to think even more outside of the box. It's prompting leadership to finally feel comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Because they have to figure, if they want to survive, if their organization wants to survive, they have to figure out this generation who is going to be their customers, right?
Yes.
And so there is no, change is the only constant in the world, right?
Yes.
And, so
they can't escape. They can't escape because at the end they are the ones pulling up, you know?
Yeah.
So they need people like us.
It's been an immense pleasure. I knew this would be a fruitful, insightful conversation. I hope our paths continue to merge and find each other.
Sure.
We'll be posting your information. I'm pretty sure people will find your LinkedIn. The full LinkedIn for Ivan is Ivan Hugo Martin de la Torre. I disclose his full name, but you can find him, and you can definitely have a talk with him if you need an expert in this area and this field. Is absolutely awesome. And I want to thank you from the deepest of my heart. This was absolutely
Thank you, Antimo.
awesome.
It's been a pleasure as well. We keep connected, definitely. I think we got a lot of things to do. It's unfolding to our side now.
Exactly. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias, Antimo. Grazie mille.
Ciao. Adios.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Talk soon. Ciao. Bye.